From Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And check out that eye. That's exactly what we want to see. Woo! Look at that panel, baby. And that, as they say, is that. By crumb, the king is back. I am the Uncanny Omar. You are watching Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I'm going to do my overview of the King Conan, the original Comics Omnibus Volume 1 from Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures. So join me. And welcome back, everybody. Now, before going any further, a big thank you to the folks at Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures for sending us a copy of this Omni. Now, this Omni is already out everywhere, the direct market and book market. This is the standard edition cover that's going to be available everywhere. On the left-hand side is your direct market cover. That's the one that's only going to be available at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, bdcosmos.com, forbiddenplanet.com, organicpricebooks.com, diamondbreedcollectors.com, comicsbugle.com, readcomics.com, instocktrades.com, DCBS, and Tales of Wonder, and of course your local comic book store. But everything underneath the dust jacket is the same. Now, one of the most interesting things about this book is that everywhere I've seen, even when I got to announce it, it's called King Conan, the original Comics Omnibus. However, if you look at the spine, it does say Conan the King, the original Comics Omnibus. So that's the exact same way that Marvel had it when they printed the book out. So I am going to be doing a comparison to the printing over here on the left-hand side, which was the Marvel printing. This is, of course, the modern cover. They don't offer that anymore, but the cover is collected in there, so I think that's such a nice touch that Titan is doing. So let's actually go back to the spine over here. Conan the King, the original Marvel years, and over here is Conan the King, the original Comics Omnibus. Roy Thomas, Doug Moench, Alan Zelenitz, John Buscema, Mark Silvestri, and then, of course, that image of King Conan, Volume 1, and then the back of the book, looking very similar, of course, even so much the font is similar. King Conan covers there, what's collected, and now you have the Heroic Signatures logo and the Titan Comics logo. And this one here is retailing for $125 and also suggested for mature readers, whereas over here is Teen Plus. All right, so underneath the dust jacket, we do have, there we go, the same design that we've had in other Conan books. It's like a marble table design. I love it. And Heroic Signatures, Titan Comics, the Marvel Omnibus logo, the same that we saw on the spine, of course, and then the symbol here on the back. It just seems like it's a little bit lighter. So we are going to do a comparison in a few, but first I'm going to crack this open and look at the artwork together while pitching you the stories of this particular era in the Sumerian's life. All right, let's go ahead and get this Omni opened. I love the fact that they are continuing using end sheets. Very classy touch. Nice. Of course, supplied by John Buscema. And King Conan right here, the original Comics Omnibus Volume 1. And the top billing there, the folks at Heroic Signatures, the Titan Comics folks, and the special thanks down here. And then we have your credits. Roy Thomas, Doug Moench, Alan Zelenitz, John Buscema, Mark Silvestri, spelled right without the K, Carmine Infantino, just to name a few of your pencilers and layouts, inkers, and finishers like Ernie Chan, and Ricardo Villamonte, and Mary Severin, Frank Giacoya, and then your illustrators who did everything, like Rudy Nebres doing all of issue number 18, Ernie Chan for those issues, lettering by Joe Rosen, Janice Chang, and others, and colorist George Russo's. And your editors at the time. Your introduction and your table of contents, 765 pages. I love that fact that here at Titan they add where the bonus material starts. Marvel didn't do that. Your introduction here. So this does collect the first 19 issues of Conan the King, or I guess King Conan, issues 1 through 19. The book has a total of 768 pages. Now, immediately you're probably thinking, wait a second, the Marvel one had 776 pages. No, none of the stories have been tampered with. None of the stories have been edited or left out. It's more of the extras in the back. And I'll do a comparison here in a little bit. So you have two introductions. You have an introduction by Roy Thomas, who wrote the first 9 issues or 10 issues. No, I think, wait. I think he might have just done the first 8. And then Doug Moench, who came on board afterwards with issue number 9. And this is a really interesting take on how they remember things. Roy Thomas remembers pitching to Stan Lee that the character of Conan the Barbarian is selling like hotcakes. We need to have another title. And then the fight for the beard and why they decided not to put the beard on the character, just make his hair gray. And then Doug Moench being approached by Wheezy, because they worked together at Warren Magazine, and how she approached him about writing for Marvel Comics, and didn't exactly quite tell him like what he would be writing, and then he found out it was going to be King Conan, because he knew from his buddy Roy Thomas, and then how he himself got pulled to the distinguished competition. So, we kick it off with this beautiful map, prepared by Robert E. Howard, and then issue number 1 here. Now, I've done an overview of the book that Marvel published, but this is kind of, I don't ever really go back and watch my videos, so if you're a big fan, thank you so much for watching all my videos. I'm sure I repeat myself a lot, but yeah, I kind of want to talk about the stories, because I think this is such a really cool jumping on point for the character of Conan, because you get a splash page, and then you get 2 spread pages. You get this one here, telling you the story about Conan, his adventures, his loves, his conquests, his failures, his wife that he ends up marrying, Zenobia, and then his son, Conan, named like him, but usually known by his short name, Con, with 2 N's. And then the new adventure that he's going on. And these are stories adapted from the Camp and Carter, and of course featuring the character created by Robert E. Howard. In the first story arc, which is 4 issues, it is the story of Khan, how he ends up getting kidnapped, and Conan searching out an old nemesis. And Roy Thomas wanted to tell a story, again, an adaptation, that showcases the character of Conan going after his old nemesis, Thothomon, and having one final battle with that character. So this is the battle to end all battles. And in the first 4 issues, it's a lot of Khan getting into trouble, and, but I guess that's what his dad gets for telling his son to come and join him. So it does pit Conan against the powerful Thothomon. And again, that was a character created by Robert E. Howard, so it's really cool how he just kind of brings it all together. And the second story arc is a little bit of a cheat, I think, because letter page is intact, by the way. Like I said, it's nothing really but the extras in the back. The second story arc that starts with issue number 5 is a flashback here. And I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. Okay. That's a little bit of a flashback. So we get the Prince Khan right here being told a story about Conan in his youth. So this was, after the pursuit of Thothomon. This is a story where we find out how Zenobia ended up getting kidnapped. But I love that in the flashback, Conan, Conan's friend that's telling the story, the Conan's son, doesn't leave out anything, including some of the conquests that he had with other ladies that were not his mom. But then again, it's a Conan story, so why would you leave that out? It's part of the story, right? And that wraps up his entire run. He ends up leaving, and it has that's a beautiful piece right there. Is that Ernie? Yeah, it's Ernie Colon and Frank Giacoya. Oh, here, let's actually look at some of these pinups. Some early Paul Smith right there. And wrapping up his run, Roy Thomas ends up leaving, not knowing if he ever gets to come back, but he does. He eventually does come back. And then the next writer takes on, and that is, of course, Doug Moench. And Doug Moench's stories are a little bit different than the stories by Roy Thomas. It is really interesting to see, like, if you've been reading Conan and that's all you've been reading is Conan the Barbarian or even Savage Sword, just how big the supporting cast is. And I'm not even talking about Zenobia and Khan. I'm talking more like the characters, like, what is his name? Palentides? Bayantides, however you pronounce his name, Trocero, and then even the character of Pellas that we hadn't seen since some of the pages of Savage Sword of Conan make an appearance through here. So that's really cool that they bring back a lot of characters. Here's a Bill Sienkiewicz cover, Alan Cooperberg, and Ernie Chan. So even Big John Buscema ends up leaving the book. And we have a different artist coming on board, a young artist. This is the Ron Frenz fill-in issue right here. And these are about the wizards that are controlling people and making people turn on King Conan. And then eventually we do get a young Mark Silvestri that's right, Conan creates the glider. Lots of team-ups between him and his son. Like, him and his son. Just father and son moment. This young guy right here, Mark Silvestri, will become the ongoing artist on the book. A real young Mark Silvestri with still, like, some really killer artwork. That's crazy. That dude right there looks like Mark Silvestri now. I don't know why. I just thought that's... maybe he took, like, his dad's picture. But anyway, all the letter pages are intact. This is my favorite issue in here. I love this one. This one showcases everything that I love about Conan the Barbarian. So, at the very beginning, you're told by Roy Thomas that they couldn't use the beard on Conan like you found him in the movies because they didn't want the cells to dip because you thought, like, Marvel thought you were going to be reading about another character. So, in here, it starts off with Conan and how he's got this beard on him. So you're like, oh, they're already breaking the rule. Cool. No, it's a fake beard. So what he's doing is he's pretending to be just this type of vagabond, if you will, and he challenges Thandar to a strength duel. And he just wants to drink amongst his people, not being recognized. He finds out that Thandar, this guy's a thief, and he's going to be robbing from King Conan himself. So Conan is actually a little bit jealous, and what he does is he approaches him and has a battle with him, and then tells him, look, I'm Conan, my men are coming to arrest you. How about we have some fun? I'll pretend to be a thief with you, and no killing them, but we'll just knock the crap out of them and take the loot. I thought that is Conan. He goes on an adventure with him, and I was like, oh, it's like a guy that used to be this Sumerian warrior, right? Like the barbarian that misses that time in his life and wants to relive it and pretends to be this young burglar, if you will, and joins Thandar on a quest. I thought that was such a cool story. And it's stories like that that make me appreciate Conan the Barbarian. And eventually, Doug Moench, like I mentioned, ends up leaving Marvel, and then it's Alan Zelenitz that ends up writing the rest of these issues through here. Showcasing, again, Conan and his family. This is the Rudy Nedres issue, I think. No, he does the inks for this one. It's Big John coming back for this issue. I think this is just a fill-in issue by Big John Buscema. And I think it's issue 18 that Rudy does himself. So these were long-form comics. Like, they were longer than your usual comics that you found in the comic stands. They were, I think, 32, sometimes 48 pages. That is a killer cover by Marie Severin. Yeah, this is the one that's done by all Rudy Nedres. And then it ends with issue number 19. So let's look at the extras here in the back, and then we'll do a comparison. So we have the letter page, and then we have an ad right here with Don't Dare Miss, The Prince is Dead. So I cannot wait to see what that story is about. I've never read anything past this volume. And then Marvel Age stories here. And again, one thing I want to note is that they are using the entire cover, like the dress for the whole cover, like Spider-Man, everything. Even though they're Marvel characters, Titan has worked out a deal with Marvel to use the actual Marvel Comics group. Where you'll see other reprints from other publishers, they'll remove that, even like the Transformers or G.I. Joe collections. So that article there from Marvel Age, and then Conan the King, the original year's Omnibus Volume 1. So it is the extras that are missing. So do a quick little comparison. We have the Marvel printing there on the left, and the new Titan Heroic Signatures printing here on the right. Of course, that's going to look a little bit different there. And then the credits should be the same, though, right here. Collection cover artist. Well, that's a little bit different, though, because Carrie Andrews. And then, like I mentioned, the table of contents, they do have bonus material over there, whereas the Marvel one didn't. And the bleed through that's happening, it's happening a little bit more in the Marvel one compared to the one over here by Titan Heroic Signatures. The one thing that they did leave out from the introduction is this image of the Master of Kung Fu. So they made that image a little bit bigger. So that's like one of the changes. And then the Warriors of the Shadow of Realm right there. Which is probably because they have that cover to the Weird World. But you can see, you know, there's bleed through happening, but it's not as much as it is over here. And the double page spread, the way that the books lay over. Actually, less gutter loss in the new in the Titan printing. Colors look just about the same, though. I don't really see a difference in the colors. The restoration's amazing on these. So it is really the back. Let's get to the back here. So we saw the house ad right here for the upcoming 20th issue. This is the What If issue right here that they did not print. What if King Conan were Bing Conan? Other house ads that they did not print here. They went straight to the Marvel Age article, which we see here, there. But also, for some reason, they didn't collect the original art by Ernie Chan and Big John Buscema. They do have the variant cover there, though. Now, this book, again, has a total of 768 pages, sewn binding, and printed in this glossy paper stock, which we compared it to the original, or the Marvel printing. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsor.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltzcomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. In the comments down below, let me know if you plan on picking this up, if you have the original printing, if you cannot wait for volume 2 of this omni that is coming out in November, as of this video. Hopefully it's on time. And if you have any questions, and what your favorite era of Conan is, whether it was when he was younger, or older, or King, or the black and white magazines. But that is it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.